Welcome back to the start of another school year at Orenda Education. It's an honor to have you join me in my vision to educate the youth of Central Texas. What a great challenge and responsibility we have to teach the children of parents who freely choose to enroll in one of our public charter schools. All right, let me give you a quick update on some of the things I'm going to be focused on this school year. And I want to start by playing a short video I made last year that I call the Free the Teacher Revolution. Some of you may have already watched this, but most of you probably have not. It takes a little over 3 minutes, and then I want to make some follow-up comments. Here it is. I have a job to do to make sure that Orenda Education represents the voice of teachers who have had their freedom stripped away by a growing government that continues to burden them with unfunded and unproven mandates. As the rights of parents have increased, the rights of our educators are being ignored. No more. Charter schools are the inheritors of an exceptional tradition, an education reform idea that was noble and beautiful. The idea that teachers should be free to teach and parents should be free to choose. We must be true to that inheritance. How many great teachers are we going to lose? Enough, expecting the teachers to fix all the problems in our society. Enough, expecting our teachers to get every child to pass an overhyped, high-stakes, standardized test. Enough, expecting them to be social workers, counselors, nurses, nerdy tech experts, and first reporters. Enough already. There are many parents like me who are fed up to hear, watching the negative impact these heavy-handed government mandates are having on the teaching profession. Let me be very clear on what I'm talking about. Nowhere in our Constitution does it give any hint that the education of my children or your children should fall within the government's purview without our consent. The idea behind free, compulsory, local government-run schooling that didn't begin until after the Civil War in most states has now morphed into a huge federal and state Department of Education that cripples and compromises local control of how best to educate the youth in our communities. As the federal and state government dictators have taken in more tax money and gained more power, our teachers' value has decreased. This must be reversed. Big government should get out of the classroom. Teachers should be afforded more respect, and high standards for students and teachers need to be maintained. Teachers and parents should be able to enter into a voluntary association whereby the public education dollar follows the child, so that the teacher, along with the parent, gets to determine what great education looks like. The bottom line is this: our teachers need more freedom to teach. Actual teaching is popular with teachers, you know. If you want to unburden our teachers so they can love their profession again, join me in my work for teacher and parent freedom in education. Click subscribe on my website to join. Now, if you take just one thing away from that video, I hope it is this. I believe your job as an educator is one of the most important and essential jobs on planet Earth. I put teachers right in there with doctors, nurses, supply chain, transportation, and utility workers as, quote, essential workers. As we learned during this most recent pandemic, somebody has to keep it all working when everything else gets shut down. You, Orenda education teacher, are an essential worker. You, campus leader and Orenda support staff worker, are a critical piece in the education supply chain. And that supply chain is broken. Let's not bury our heads in the sand and ignore the data. Here are the facts. The most recent National Center for Education Statistics study among 13-year-olds in the United States shows a significant drop in math and reading scores, falling to levels not seen since 1971. And during the past 3 years, scores in math have dropped 9 points and in reading 4 points. In history and civics, 8th grade scores fell to the lowest levels on record. Only 13% of 8th graders meet proficiency standards for U.S. history. And a recent report of college entrance ACT and SAT scores show that they're dropping as well, even though grade point averages that the students bring to college are higher. Clearly, grade inflation is going on in many of our country's high schools. Now, the second takeaway from that short video is that I hope you understand and appreciate that by choosing to work for a public charter school, you are a part of a great experiment to improve public education. Our job at Orenda Education is to reverse those trends and to be, as our 35th President John F. Kennedy said, and I quote, "a rising tide that lifts all the boats." We're the Coast Guard rescue boat that goes around pulling many students out of the cold waters of apathy, boredom, low expectations, and not reaching their God-given potential. And we have some very encouraging news on public charter school results across the country. A recent published 2023 Stanford University Center for Research on Education Outcomes study, referred to as the CREDO study, concludes that most charter schools produce superior student gains when compared to the traditional public school that same student would have attended. And in many cases, charter school scores showed that students at charter schools are ahead 73 days in math, 78 days in reading, compared to traditional public schools. And charter management organizations like Orenda Education that operate multiple charter school campuses show better results than standalone charters. And that's likely the result of a learning curve that can be applied to many locations. Charter school educators are called to be reformers, experimenters, protesters, innovators, and upsetters of the status quo. We're to be anything but boring, ordinary, and predictable. And the final takeaway from that short video is that I want Orenda Education to be the most teacher-friendly, fulfilling, and fun educational setting for teachers to teach. Each of our school campuses should be a place where educators want to work, love to work, have and maintain high expectations, and where they want their own children to attend. If you're a competent, compassionate, inspiring teacher, we want you here, and we want you to be happy to be here. During the past several months, I've taken an honest look at our organization. I've asked myself, is Orenda Education the great, outstanding, heads above the rest educational organization that I envisioned when I started this company? And I've met with individuals, many of you over the past few months, to get your answer to that question. And here is what I think is the answer to that question. No. We're good. We're very good by many measures, but we're not quite where I thought we would be by now. We're not great. Not yet. To get to the next level of greatness and consistency, not only in student achievement, but also in campus morale among the staff, we need to get better at leadership, leading people. We are in the people business. We don't make a product that comes off an assembly line. The growth we see in our students is a direct result of what our educators infuse into their students. And all of us in a leadership role at Orenda Education, both at the district office and at each individual campus, must be outstanding, heads above the rest leaders. If you've been employed at Orenda Education for a few years or more, you probably know that while some of our campuses have had exceptional, steady campus leaders, some have struggled with leadership issues. Like all school entities, we have our challenges. But here is the advantage of working for our charter school entity. We're like a Coast Guard rescue boat, small, quick, and nimble. When things are not going as well as they should be, we quickly adapt, change course, recalibrate, and improve. Unlike most big, bulky traditional school districts, we don't need to plow through 5 layers of management, 4 committees, or remove 3 governing board members before positive change can start happening. I know it needs to get fixed. I've heard from you, and I can see with my own eyes. The board sees it, our district leaders see it, and now we're going to get to work to improve it. So this year, I'm going to be focused on leadership training and team building, so we make the leap and go from being good to great. I'm currently developing a leadership training program that all of our district staff and campus leaders will go through. I'll be sitting in on some team meetings and providing individual consultation and tutelage for our leaders. In addition, over the past several months, I've recorded several educational videos that are posted on our Orenda Education YouTube channel. I encourage all of you to subscribe to it. Here's what you'll see. The channels are to be a resource for Orenda Education employees, parents, and our students. We've posted several educational videos covering topics such as the differences between charter schools and traditional public schools, our philosophy of education, and much more. We have podcasts that feature our scholar athletes, interviews with our staff, and news and highlights on our individual campuses. And soon I will be adding some additional content on leadership. Let me quickly give you a sneak peek on what I believe about great leadership. Great leaders have the following attitude toward leadership. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. And in between the two, the leader must first seek to build relationships. They set the vision and agenda, but after that, they mostly serve and facilitate to fulfill the vision through people. And mostly they are humble, appreciative, and modest. They don't hog all the credit. And great leaders take the following actions. Better than an open door policy, they get out and rove around. They catch people doing great things, and they brag on their best teachers. And yet they correct when needed. The moment they feel the need to micromanage someone, they know they made a hiring mistake, so they don't micromanage. They get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, and they know that letting the wrong people hang around too long is unfair to all the right people. When we improve the quality and effectiveness of our leaders, this is what we will all observe. Less turnover and a higher retention of our talented people who share our company values and work ethic. Visible growth in our young teachers' instructional competency. Seasoned teachers taking on more leadership on each campus. More fun, more joy, and more people stepping up to take on the hard tasks that always make the most difference. Yes, our leaders will have those difficult conversations with our people, but confidentiality will be maintained always. Fear will be replaced with trust, and frustration replaced with enthusiasm. Good to great. Some school districts never make the leap. Only a few do. So let's take this time together to build a springboard. I look forward to seeing you around campus.